If I tell you that the biggest battle of your life is not happening outside you, but inside your own mind, you might laugh at first, but this is the truth that completely changed Alex's life. Alex was an ordinary boy who grew up in a quiet suburb outside Chicago, a place where big dreams were born but courage often arrived late. Because from childhood a small voice had lived inside his head whispering the same sentence again and again, "You're not good enough," and that voice stopped him before every opportunity. In school he knew the answers but never raised his hand. In high school and college he had ambitions but avoided every risk. Every night he went to sleep thinking that life could be more but he would never become the person who could change it. Until one day a single line in an old book shook him deeply: "Your biggest problem is not the world, it is your own thoughts," and for the first time in his life he realized that maybe the enemy he had been fighting all along was not failure. Not society, not luck, but his own mind. And that day he made a small decision that felt insignificant but would later define his future. He decided to stop treating his mind as a dictator and start treating it as a tool. He began with tiny steps. Raising his hand once in class, speaking to one stranger a day, writing down his negative thoughts and answering them with facts, and slowly those tiny actions began to crack the wall of fear that had surrounded him for years. When he finally got his first job, the old voice returned: "You don't belong here." And many nights he lay awake staring at the ceiling asking himself if he had made a mistake, if he was pretending to be someone he was not. But every morning he forced himself to take one brave action anyway, because he had learned that courage is not the absence of fear but the decision to move forward with fear. There were meetings where his voice trembled, projects where he failed. Moments when his boss doubted him, and times when he locked himself in the bathroom, looked into the mirror, and whispered, "Don't run." Because now he understood that a person breaks when he runs from himself and grows when he becomes honest with himself. Slowly he noticed that the noise in his mind was getting quieter. The voice that once insulted him every hour was losing its power, and a new voice was being built, calm, steady, and strong, that said, "You are learning, you are growing, you are not perfect but you are not quitting." And that voice became his real strength. With time he learned another truth: that most people remain unhappy not because their lives are bad but because they fight their past, fear their future, and forget to live in the present. So he decided to live one day at a time, not yesterday, not tomorrow, only today's right choice, today's honest effort, today's small discipline, and that mindset slowly became his identity. Months passed and the outside world did not change much: the same office, the same traffic, the same people. But inside him everything had changed. Where there was once anxiety there was now calm. Where there was once comparison there was now acceptance, and where there was once complaint there was now responsibility. One day he watched a senior colleague collapse emotionally, a man who looked successful on the outside but empty on the inside. And Alex understood that moving forward is not enough, you must move in the right direction, because many people earn money, titles, and respect but lose themselves in the process. And he decided that he would measure his life not by salary but by character. When he met his old friends they told him, "You've changed," and he smiled. Because he knew this change did not come from one big moment but from thousands of small decisions made every day in front of fear, decisions no one saw but that silently rewrote his destiny. And now when he met a young, insecure newcomer he saw his old face in him and said, "You are not weak. You are just trusting your thoughts too much, and the moment you learn to question your mind, your life will begin to change." Because he had learned from his own journey that the greatest victory in life is not defeating others but defeating your own fear, and this battle is not fought outside but inside, every morning when you wake up, every time you choose. Every time you fail, every time you feel alone, and the person who wins this small battle every day slowly changes his entire future. And one evening as he stood on the same quiet street of his old Chicago suburb where he once feared even dreaming, he realized that life had not given him any miracle, life had only given him one opportunity, to become a little better every day, and he had never wasted it, because now he understood clearly that circumstances do not create a person, decisions do. And every decision is born from a thought, so if anyone wants to change their life, they must begin by changing their mind, because the day a person learns that not every thought is true and not every fear is a prophecy, that is the day his real life finally begins. And that is why every night before falling asleep Alex hears only one quiet sentence inside his mind: "You are on the right path, just don't stop, and with that sentence he closes his eyes. Knowing that tomorrow will bring another battle, but this time he will not run, he will face it with a smile, because he has finally learned that the biggest transformation in life is not created by one big event, but by one small brave decision repeated every single day.